When was the last time you looked in the mirror and admitted how much you're really hurting? Not the version you show to the world, not the smile you wear to convince everyone you're fine, but the truth you bury deep inside. You've carried that weight in silence for far too long, pretending it doesn't exist, forcing yourself to keep moving while a storm brews within you. And the hardest part is that no one sees the nights you can't sleep, the mornings where even breathing feels heavy, the moments where you wonder how much longer you can keep this facade alive. You've been strong for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to simply be human, to feel, to release, to break without shame. The world praises strength as if it means never falling, never crying, never admitting that something inside you hurts. But that isn't strength. That's suffocation. Strength isn't about being unshaken. It's about daring to face what shakes you to your core. And if you've been holding back tears, if you've been swallowing pain just to survive another day, you are not weak. You are exhausted from carrying a burden that was never meant to be hidden forever. I know you've been waiting for someone to notice, for someone to understand, but let this moment be the reminder you've been needing. You are not invisible. Your pain is real. Your struggle is valid. And right now, as you listen to these words, you don't have to pretend anymore. This is your permission to stop hiding from yourself. This is the space where you get to admit it hurts, without judgment, without fear. Because the truth is, the first step to healing isn't pretending you're fine. It's acknowledging that you're not. It's allowing yourself to feel what you've been running from. Every tear you've held back is a story of resilience. Every silence you've endured is proof of your strength. You don't need to apologize for carrying heavy emotions. You don't need to apologize if your heart feels broken. You are not less because you are struggling. In fact, you are more human, more alive, more capable of rebuilding than you even realize. So why stay here and listen? Because this could be the turning point you've been waiting for. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. Because you deserve to let go of the weight that has been crushing your chest. Because you deserve to breathe again without feeling like the air is too heavy. Because life has more for you than endless survival, and deep down you know it. You didn't come here by accident. You came here because part of you is tired of carrying this pain alone, and another part of you is desperate to believe there's something more than suffering. Stay with me. Let these words remind you that you're not broken beyond repair. Let them remind you that your tears are not a weakness. They are the proof that you still feel, that you still care, that you still have life inside of you. And if you keep listening, if you allow yourself to walk through the emotions you've been avoiding, you'll discover something you've forgotten. The power to rise, to heal, to reclaim the life you've always deserved. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your comeback. You know that silence you carry inside? The one you cover with small laughs and quick answers so no one notices? That silence has been costing you more than you realize. It's been draining your energy, stealing your joy, and convincing you that no one would understand even if you tried to explain. But the truth is, silence doesn't protect you, it traps you. It builds invisible walls around your heart and keeps you locked inside a prison of your own unspoken emotions. Every time you tell yourself, "I'm fine," when you're not, a piece of you feels a little less alive. Every time you swallow back the tears and choose to smile instead, you carry another weight that doesn't belong to you. You've taught yourself to be quiet about your pain, but that quiet doesn't make it disappear. It lingers, it waits, it presses down harder the longer you ignore it. And deep down, you know that the silence is breaking you more than the truth ever could. You were not created to live with your heart hidden away. You were not meant to suffocate your emotions just to seem strong enough for the world. There is power in honesty. There is freedom in vulnerability. And there is healing in speaking the words you've been too afraid to say. The pain you bury alive will find ways to resurface in your body, in your thoughts, in the way you see yourself. But the moment you stop pretending and allow yourself to express what's real, you begin to take back control. Silence is heavy because it keeps you isolated. It convinces you that no one else feels the way you do, that no one could possibly understand the weight you're carrying. But listen closely. You are not the only one who has felt broken, not the only one who has carried invisible wounds. Pain is universal, but silence makes you believe it's yours alone. Breaking that silence doesn't make you weak, it makes you free. Imagine what it would feel like to finally breathe without pretending, to walk into a day without the mask you've been wearing for so long. Imagine releasing the emotions that have been locked inside you and realizing that instead of making you fall apart, it makes you stronger. That is the reward of breaking the silence. That is the freedom waiting on the other side of your honesty. You don't have to keep suffering in silence. You don't have to keep pretending to be invincible. The strongest thing you can do for yourself is to stop hiding from your truth. Let the world see the real you, the one who has been fighting silently but is ready to rise openly. Because once you step out of silence, you'll find that the world doesn't collapse around you. Instead, you collapse into the strength you didn't know you had. The silence you've been living with isn't protecting you anymore. It's time to let it go. It's time to let yourself feel. It's time to realize that speaking your truth, even if only to yourself in this moment, is the doorway to healing. The weight you've been carrying has been waiting for this release. And once you step into that release, everything changes. Your heart gets lighter, your mind gets clearer, and your spirit finally begins to breathe again. You've been told that strength means keeping it all together, that showing cracks makes you fragile, that breaking down makes you less. But what if everything you've been taught about strength is a lie? What if real strength has nothing to do with holding back tears, forcing a smile, or pretending you're unaffected? Strength isn't silence. Strength isn't numbness. Strength is having the courage to feel deeply, even when it terrifies you. Strength is daring to admit that you're hurting and refusing to let shame convince you otherwise. The world glorifies the image of the unshakable, the unbroken, the one who never falters. But those who never falter never grow. Pain is not the enemy. Denial is. When you deny what you feel, you suffocate your own spirit. You teach yourself that love is dangerous, that trust is unsafe, that emotions are something to fear. But when you allow yourself to break, you also allow yourself to rebuild. And in that rebuilding, you discover a strength far greater than the brittle mask you've been taught to wear. There is no shame in crying. There is no shame in admitting you're tired, lonely, overwhelmed, or afraid. Crying doesn't weaken you. It cleanses you. It's your body's way of releasing what your soul can't carry anymore. Every tear that falls is a release of pressure, a letting go of the pain that has been stored for too long. And yet so many people hide it, swallow it, bury it, thinking it makes them stronger. But burying your emotions doesn't make them disappear. It only allows them to grow roots in your heart, tightening their grip until you can hardly breathe. Strength is not measured by how much you can hide. Strength is measured by how much you're willing to face. It takes courage to sit with your pain instead of running from it. It takes courage to admit that you're not okay, and it takes even greater courage to believe that you can rise again after falling apart. That is what makes you powerful, not your ability to remain untouched by life, but your refusal to stay down when it knocks you to your knees. Stop apologizing for feeling deeply. Stop telling yourself that tears are weakness. Stop believing that breaking means you've failed. Breaking means you've carried something heavy for too long, and your soul is demanding release. It means you are human. It means you are alive. And being alive comes with a heart that feels, a mind that bends, and a spirit that sometimes shatters. That doesn't make you less. That makes you real. The strongest people are not those who never cry. They are the ones who allow themselves to cry, then wipe their face and rise again. They are the ones who know that emotions are not chains but signals guiding them toward the healing they need. They are the ones who have stopped performing for the world and started honoring the truth within themselves. That is the kind of strength that lasts. If you've been holding back, if you've been convincing yourself that you have to appear unbroken to be worthy, let that lie go. Worth is not found in perfection. Worth is found in authenticity. And authenticity means embracing every part of you, even the parts that tremble, even the parts that break. This is your reminder. You are allowed to feel, you are allowed to release, and you are allowed to be human without apology. That is where your real strength lives. There are wounds you've carried in silence, the kind no one else can see, but that never stop burning inside of you. The betrayal you never spoke of, the loneliness you kept hidden, the disappointment you buried so deep it became part of your skin. These are the scars the world doesn't notice, yet they shape the way you think, the way you love, the way you see yourself. And every time you pretend they don't exist, they tighten their grip on your soul. You remember the heaviness that hits without warning, the hollow feeling in your chest that no distraction can fix. You remember the moments you wanted to speak but swallowed your truth because you thought no one would understand. That silence has carved deep into you, but the pain itself is not what destroys you. It's the refusal to face it. Pain ignored multiplies, pain denied poisons, but pain acknowledged becomes the first crack of light, breaking through the darkness. You are not weak for carrying wounds. You are human. Everyone has scars, but the difference between those who heal and those who suffer endlessly is the willingness to face them. The moment you stop running, the moment you turn inward and say, yes, this hurt me, is the moment you begin to take back your power. Naming your pain is not giving it control, it is taking control away from it. So many people live their entire lives avoiding what hurts. They distract themselves, drown themselves in noise, chase everything that keeps them from sitting in silence with their truth. But avoidance doesn't heal, avoidance delays, and the longer you delay, the deeper the wound becomes. You deserve more than that. You deserve freedom from the grip of the past. You deserve to be able to breathe without the weight of what you never allowed yourself to process. Think about this. The pain you refuse to face has already taken enough from you. It has stolen moments of joy, clouded your peace, and made you question your worth. Why let it continue? Why give it the power to decide the way you see yourself and the way you live your life? The wound is real, but so is your capacity to heal. And healing begins not by erasing what happened, but by allowing yourself to finally feel what you've been avoiding. Don't be afraid of the tears. Don't be afraid of the anger, the grief, the emptiness that comes with facing the truth. These emotions are not here to destroy you. They are here to release you. They are proof that you still care, that you still value your life enough to want more. And once you allow yourself to feel fully, the grip of that hidden pain begins to loosen. Your silence has kept you chained long enough. It's time to step into honesty with yourself. It's time to admit what broke you so you can finally rebuild. The wounds you hide are not signs of weakness, they are signs of survival. And survival means you are still here, still breathing, still capable of becoming whole again. Stop burying what hurts, face it, feel it, and you will find the strength that has been waiting inside you all along. There comes a point when the weight becomes unbearable, when the mask you wear feels too heavy to hold up, when even pretending feels like more effort than you can give. You know that point, the nights when you collapse into bed, but sleep refuses to come, the mornings when you open your eyes and wish you could stay hidden under the covers, just to avoid the world one more day. The moments when you force yourself to laugh, only to feel the emptiness echo louder the second the laughter fades. That is the breaking point. And as much as you fear it, it's also the doorway you've been avoiding. Reaching that point does not mean you failed. It means your soul is tired of carrying what was never meant to be carried forever. It means your body is begging for release, your mind is pleading for honesty, and your heart is demanding the freedom it deserves. You can't keep patching over wounds with temporary distractions. You can't keep pretending you're okay while a storm rages inside. Breaking isn't weakness, it's your soul screaming for change. There is a dangerous lie you've been told, that hitting the wall means you're not strong enough. But the truth is the opposite. Reaching the edge means you've been holding on longer than anyone should have to. It means you've endured pain that would have crushed someone else. It means you fought battles in silence that no one ever saw, and you're still standing. That isn't weakness. That's resilience. But resilience doesn't mean you have to keep suffering. Resilience means you have the power to stop pretending, to stop carrying, to stop drowning in silence, and finally admit, this is too much. And here's the truth you need to hear. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. The moment you admit you're at your breaking point is the moment you open yourself to healing, because you can't fix what you refuse to face. You can't rebuild while you're still pretending nothing is broken. But when you face the reality of your exhaustion, your pain, your struggle, you give yourself permission to rise again, not as the person who hides everything, but as the person who refuses to let their pain define them any longer. Your breaking point is not the end. It is the threshold of change. It is the place where the old version of you shatters so that a stronger, freer, truer version can emerge. It is the moment you finally stop living in survival mode and start reaching for more. And I know you felt close to giving up. I know there have been moments where you wondered if the fight was worth it. But listen carefully. You wouldn't still be here if you didn't have something worth fighting for. The fact that you're hearing these words right now means you haven't given up. Deep down, there is still a spark inside you, even if it feels buried under the weight of everything you've been through. Don't ignore that spark. Protect it. Nurture it. Let it remind you that even when you've been at your lowest, you've never been fully defeated. That spark is proof you are capable of more than surviving. You are capable of rising. The breaking point is not your enemy. It is your invitation. Step into it. Let go of the mask. Release the weight and allow yourself to begin again. This is where your real healing starts. Healing doesn't begin the moment you decide to ignore the pain. Healing begins the moment you finally allow yourself to feel it. Every tear that falls, every emotion that surfaces, every wave of sorrow that shakes you, it all has a purpose. It is your body's way of letting go of what you were never meant to carry forever. Yet so many people believe healing means forcing a smile, pretending everything is fine, and moving on as if nothing ever happened. That is not healing, that is denial. And denial never sets you free. Real healing is raw. It is messy. It is uncomfortable. It forces you to sit with feelings you've been running from for years. It makes you confront truths you've tried to bury. But in that confrontation lies your liberation. The pain you feel when you let yourself open up is not a sign that you're breaking further. It's a sign that you're finally releasing what has been poisoning you. Just like a wound must be cleaned before it can close, your heart must feel before it can heal. Crying is not a weakness. It's biology. It's proof that your body is working the way it was designed to. When you cry, your stress hormones lower, your nervous system resets, and your soul begins to unclench. Every tear carries weight that your body cannot hold inside any longer. The very act of crying is your system fighting for your survival, begging you to release instead of suppress. So why do you punish yourself for something that is natural, necessary, and healing? Why do you convince yourself that crying is failure when, in truth, it is one of the strongest acts of self-preservation you can allow? Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel lighter, some days the pain will return, but every time you face it, instead of running, you take one step closer to freedom. The emotions you fear are not here to destroy you, they are here to guide you. Grief teaches you what mattered. Anger shows you what boundaries were crossed. Sadness reminds you of what you loved and lost. Every emotion is a messenger, and when you stop silencing them, you begin to understand what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. You don't need to carry this pain for the rest of your life. You don't need to keep pretending you're fine while your heart aches in silence. You are allowed to break down. You are allowed to admit you're not okay. And you are allowed to give yourself permission to heal at your own pace without apology. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about refusing to let the past control the rest of your future. Let yourself feel. Let yourself cry. Let yourself process the emotions that have been buried under layers of silence and strength. Every time you do, you grow lighter. Every time you do, you reclaim power. And one day, you'll look back and realize the pain that once held you hostage no longer defines you. It shaped you, yes, but it did not destroy you. Healing is not weakness. Healing is the bravest act you can choose, and the moment you choose it, your freedom begins. Life will always mirror back to you the pain you refuse to face. What you bury inside does not disappear. It echoes. It seeps into your thoughts, your choices, your relationships, and your self-worth. You might think you've hidden it well, but it shows up in the way you guard your heart, in the way you hesitate to trust, in the way you question whether you're truly enough. The very wounds you suppress become the lens through which you see the world, and until you confront them, they distort everything you touch. You've probably wondered why certain patterns keep repeating in your life, why the same doubts, the same fears, the same disappointments seem to follow you, no matter how far you run. It's because unhealed pain doesn't stay in the past. It carries itself into your present. It becomes the silent script that dictates how you think, how you react, how you let yourself live. But the moment you choose to stop avoiding it, the moment you turn and face what you've been running from, you begin to rewrite that script. You begin to reclaim your story. Avoidance may feel safe, but it robs you of freedom. You can't outrun your shadow. You can't silence what was meant to be faced. The courage you've been searching for has never been about pretending you're fine. It has always been about daring to turn toward your pain and say, "You will not control me anymore." That act of courage is the doorway to transformation. It's the exact moment when your life begins to shift from survival to freedom. The truth is, you don't heal by forgetting, you heal by confronting. You heal by pulling the hidden weight into the light where it can no longer hold power over you. And yes, it hurts to face it. Yes, it stings to admit how deeply it cut you. But nothing changes if you keep denying it. What you resist will persist. What you face, you can finally release. Every scar you carry is proof of one thing: you survived. You may not feel strong, but you are. You may not feel capable, but you are. The fact that you are still breathing, still searching, still listening means that your spirit has not given up. And that spirit deserves freedom. It deserves to live without being chained to wounds that were never meant to define you. When you choose to face what hurts, you stop letting the past control your present. You stop letting fear write the next chapter of your life. You begin to see yourself clearly, not as broken, not as unworthy, but as someone who has endured, someone who is still capable of rising higher. The shadow no longer frightens you because you realize it was never bigger than your own light. This is your reminder. You cannot move forward while carrying what you refuse to face. You cannot become who you're meant to be while holding on to what keeps you small. Turn toward the pain, let it teach you, let it strengthen you, and then let it go. The moment you do, you step into a life that is lighter, freer, and finally your own. Letting go is one of the hardest things you will ever do, but it is also one of the most powerful. Holding on feels safer because it gives you something familiar to cling to, even if that thing is pain. You convince yourself that if you keep replaying what happened, you might find meaning, closure, or control. But the truth is, holding on only keeps you trapped in the past. It ties you to memories that hurt, to people who no longer deserve your energy, to versions of yourself that no longer exist. And as long as you cling to what broke you, you cannot move into the life that's waiting for you. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. Forgiveness is not about excusing the damage, the betrayal, or the loss. Forgiveness is about refusing to let those moments control your heart any longer. It's about choosing your own peace over the poison of resentment, because when you hold on to anger, it corrodes you from the inside. When you cling to bitterness, it builds walls around your heart. And when you let pain define you, you lose sight of the person you are meant to become. Letting go is not weakness. It is courage. It is strength. It is the ultimate act of rebellion against the forces that tried to break you. By releasing what hurt you, you take back the power it once held over you. You show yourself that your future will not be dictated by the past. You show yourself that peace matters more than punishment, that freedom matters more than control. Imagine the chains falling away the moment you decide not to carry the burden anymore. Imagine what it feels like to wake up without the weight of yesterday pressing on your chest. That is the reward of letting go. That is the life waiting for you when you stop gripping pain with clenched fists and finally open your hands to release it. You are not what happened to you. You are not the heartbreak, the betrayal, the disappointment. You are the strength that endured it. You are the courage that survived it. And now you are the wisdom that can rise above it. The past is a place of lessons, not a prison. The longer you stay locked inside it, the more you deprive yourself of everything that still lies ahead. Yes, it hurts to let go. It feels like surrender. But the truth is, it's not surrender, it's liberation. It's reclaiming your heart, your energy, your future. It's saying, this will not define me anymore. This will not follow me anymore. I choose freedom. That choice is the beginning of healing, the beginning of clarity, the beginning of living without chains. You deserve to stop carrying this pain. You deserve to stop reliving it over and over in your mind. You deserve to wake up each day lighter, freer, stronger. Letting go does not erase your story, but it allows you to write the next chapter without the weight of old wounds pulling at every word. You've carried this long enough. The time has come to release it. The time has come to finally breathe again. There is a kind of strength hidden in vulnerability that most people will never understand because they've been conditioned to believe that vulnerability is weakness. You've been told to toughen up, to stay guarded, to never let anyone see the parts of you that hurt. But what if that advice has been keeping you from the very thing you need most? Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the purest expression of courage. It takes nothing to hide, but it takes everything to be seen. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open the door to connection. You give yourself permission to be human, to admit that you don't have it all figured out, to let others see the truth instead of the mask. And in that honesty, something powerful happens. Walls come down, shame loses its grip, and healing begins to flow. Vulnerability is how the soul breathes. Without it, you suffocate under the weight of pretending. With it, you begin to feel alive again. Think about this: the people who connect most deeply with others are not the ones who act perfect, but the ones who are real. The ones who say, yes, I've struggled. Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've fallen, but I am still here. That kind of openness builds bridges where silence builds walls. It creates trust. It creates love. And most importantly, it creates freedom. Because when you no longer feel the need to hide who you are, you step into a life of authenticity, and authenticity is where true peace lives. You have been strong in silence, but now it's time to be strong in truth. Vulnerability is not about oversharing or exposing yourself to everyone. It's about refusing to betray yourself by pretending you don't feel what you feel. It's about standing in your truth and saying, this is me, this is where I'm at, and that's okay. That honesty doesn't make you smaller. It makes you powerful beyond measure because it frees you from the chains of shame and secrecy. Every time you hide your feelings, you give power to fear. Every time you silence your truth, you reinforce the lie that you're not enough as you are. But the moment you let yourself be vulnerable, you reclaim that power. You tell fear it has no control here. You tell shame it no longer defines you. Vulnerability is not exposure. It is strength under pressure. It is standing unarmed in a world that told you to keep your armor on and discovering that your heart is your greatest weapon. Do not confuse vulnerability with fragility. They are not the same. Fragility breaks under pressure. Vulnerability bends and transforms under it. Fragility hides from the storm. Vulnerability walks through it open and unafraid. That is the kind of strength you've had within you all along, waiting for the moment you decide to embrace it. You do not have to live behind walls anymore. You do not have to shrink yourself to seem unbreakable. You are allowed to be seen, allowed to be felt, allowed to be real. And the moment you embrace vulnerability, you step into the most powerful version of yourself, the version that no longer hides, no longer apologizes, and no longer fears being human. That is where your healing becomes unstoppable. That is where you finally begin to rise. The truth is, most people are not broken because they are weak. They are broken because they've carried too much for too long, in silence, without release, without permission to feel. You have been taught to suppress, to push everything deep inside, to wear a mask that convinces the world you are fine. But inside, the weight builds, and the silence becomes louder than any scream. The human heart was never designed to carry unspoken pain forever. It needs expression. It needs release. It needs the honesty that comes when you finally stop pretending. Healing begins the moment you stop running from what hurts and face it with open eyes. Not to relive it, not to drown in it, but to acknowledge it. What you resist does not disappear, it grows. What you avoid does not fade, it waits. But what you face with courage loses its control over you. This is the secret many never discover. Your freedom is hidden inside the very thing you're afraid to feel. The moment you sit with your pain, instead of fighting it, it begins to transform. It teaches, it softens, it strengthens. It stops being a prison and becomes a teacher. Every scar on your heart holds wisdom. Every tear you've shed has watered the soil of who you are becoming. You are not damaged because you've been hurt. You are being refined. Life is not punishing you. It is shaping you. The sharp edges of your past are not here to cut you down. They are here to carve you into someone unshakable. You do not need to erase what you've been through. You need to allow it to mold you into the version of yourself you were always meant to grow into. But you cannot reach that transformation if you keep hiding from yourself. The truth you deny becomes the chain that binds you. The truth you face becomes the key that frees you. Do not be afraid of your own reflection, even if it shows the cracks, even if it reveals the pain, because in those cracks is where the light enters. In that pain is where your strength is born. And the moment you stop running, the moment you decide to sit with your own heart, you will realize that you were never as fragile as you thought. Strength is not the absence of pain. Strength is choosing to feel it and keep moving forward anyway. Strength is breaking open and still believing you can heal. Strength is allowing yourself to cry and still knowing you will rise. The world has taught you to hide your weakness, but real power is found in the ability to walk through the fire without pretending it doesn't burn. That is what makes you unstoppable. Not the illusion of being untouched, but the reality of being scarred and still standing tall. Your healing begins when you decide you are worthy of it. Not someday, not when everything is perfect, not when you feel stronger. Now. Right here, in this moment, you are allowed to release the weight you've been carrying. You are allowed to be honest about what hurts, and you are allowed to believe that your future is not defined by your past. The chains of silence can break. The cycle of pain can end, and it begins with you choosing to face what you've been avoiding, not as an enemy, but as the path to your freedom. You have been told that time heals all wounds, but time alone does not heal. Time only passes. Healing comes from what you choose to do with that time. You can let it harden you, burying your pain deeper, convincing yourself that ignoring it will make it vanish. Or you can choose to let time become your ally by using every moment to release, to rebuild, to rise. Healing is not passive. It is an act of defiance against everything that tried to break you. It is the bold declaration that what happened to you will not define the rest of your life. Your life changes the moment you stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to heal. No one else can hand you freedom. No one else can tell you when it's your time. The truth is, the key has always been in your hands. The decision to open the lock is yours. And when you finally turn that key, when you finally claim what has always been within you, you discover that healing is not about returning to who you once were. It's about becoming someone greater than you imagined. There is a deeper strength in you, one that has been forged through every tear, every disappointment, every night you thought you couldn't keep going. That strength is not waiting for some future version of you to appear. It is already alive inside you. The moment you stop hiding from yourself, you ignite it. You allow yourself to step into the version of you who is no longer bound by shame, no longer paralyzed by fear, no longer controlled by the echoes of the past. That version of you exists right now, waiting to be chosen. Pain will always try to convince you that you are powerless, that you are broken beyond repair, that your scars are proof of defeat. But scars are not symbols of weakness. They are evidence that you survived. They are proof that you endured what was meant to destroy you. They carry the silent truth that you are still here, breathing, standing, refusing to give in. And if you are still here, then you are not finished. There is more for you. There is purpose inside you that pain cannot erase. Every time you rise after being knocked down, you send a message to life itself. You will not be controlled. You will not be defeated. You will not surrender. That resilience is your power. That persistence is your weapon. That unshakable will is the reason nothing can keep you trapped forever. Because no matter how heavy the weight, no matter how deep the wound, the spirit inside you is greater. And the moment you decide to lean into that truth, everything changes. This is your turning point. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances align, not when life becomes easier. Now, you are standing at the doorway between who you've been and who you are becoming. The pain you've carried has prepared you, but it does not define you. What defines you is the choice you make in this moment, to rise, to heal, to claim the strength that has always been yours. Your scars do not make you unworthy. They make you unstoppable. Your pain does not make you broken. It makes you unbreakable. And the life you dream of is not waiting in the distance. It is waiting for you to believe that you are ready now. The truth is that nothing outside of you holds the power to decide your worth. Not the mistakes you've made, not the people who doubted you, not the setbacks that delayed you. Worth is not something to be earned. It is something that is already written into your very existence. The moment you recognize this, the chains of comparison and judgment begin to fall away. You stop chasing validation from places that could never give it, and you start standing in the unshakable reality that you are already enough. When you no longer beg the world to recognize your value, you rise with a new kind of authority. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself as someone who is no longer asking for permission to exist fully. And that energy shifts everything around you. Opportunities begin to open not because the world suddenly changed, but because you finally decided to stop dimming your light. Life responds to the power of a mind and heart that knows its own value. Doubt will still whisper. Fear will still attempt to pull you back. The shadows of old wounds will try to convince you that your past is stronger than your future. But you are no longer the person you were when those wounds were made. You have evolved. You have grown. You have faced battles that have sharpened you into someone far more resilient than you realize. Fear only holds power when you believe its lies. The moment you confront it with truth, it loses its grip. Your future does not belong to hesitation. It belongs to decision. Every second you delay your own rise, you keep yourself locked in a reality that no longer fits you. The discomfort you feel right now is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are outgrowing the smallness that once contained you. That tension is proof that you are being called higher. Do not silence it. Do not numb it. Let it propel you. Let it remind you that you were not designed to live a life of quiet resignation. You were made to step into the fullness of your strength. The world needs what you carry, your voice, your vision, your resilience. It was never meant to be hidden. Every time you choose to show up authentically, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. Your presence becomes a spark that ignites something in those around you. And whether you see it immediately or not, your decision to rise ripples far beyond you. You are not just lifting yourself, you are lifting others too. So let this be the moment you stop waiting for clarity before you move. Let this be the moment you stop waiting for fear to vanish before you act. Clarity comes when you take the first step. Fear fades when you decide it will no longer control you. Everything you are searching for lies on the other side of action. And every action you take aligned with your true self becomes undeniable evidence that you are capable of so much more than you once believed. The life you desire is not a distant dream. It is a reality waiting for you to claim it. It is built not through chance, but through relentless belief, consistent action, and the courage to keep standing even when doubt tries to pull you under. You are ready. You are capable. You are powerful beyond measure. And now is the time to prove it to yourself. Every time you hesitate, every time you hold back, you reinforce the illusion that you are not ready, that something more is required before you can begin. But readiness is not a feeling, it is a choice. The moment you decide that where you are is enough, that who you are is enough, you step into the kind of power that transforms hesitation into momentum. The waiting ends the second you refuse to believe you are lacking. You have always carried within you the seeds of everything you seek. They have been buried under layers of fear, doubt, and self-criticism, but they are there waiting for you to uncover them and let them grow. When you act from this place of inner certainty, the noise around you begins to lose its hold. Opinions, criticisms, and doubts no longer carry the same weight because you are no longer measuring yourself against them. You are moving from a deeper place, one that is not shaken by temporary obstacles or fleeting emotions. This is where resilience is born, not in avoiding the storm, but in realizing that the storm cannot break what is already rooted in truth. The battles you face are not meant to defeat you, but to sharpen you. Resistance exists not to push you away from your destiny, but to prepare you for it. Each challenge carries within it the opportunity to reveal your strength. You cannot grow without friction. You cannot rise without weight. What feels heavy now is shaping you into someone who will be unshakable when the breakthrough arrives. Instead of asking why the struggle exists, ask what it is building within you. The shift in perspective changes everything, because you stop seeing obstacles as evidence of failure and start seeing them as the training ground of your greatness. You must recognize that comfort is a cage disguised as safety. The life you truly desire will not come from staying where it feels easy, predictable, and familiar. Growth requires you to step into the unknown, to embrace discomfort as proof that you are moving beyond the limits that once defined you. Every step into uncertainty is an act of defiance against the smallness that tried to contain you. And the more you move, the more natural it becomes to trust yourself in the unfamiliar. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build by walking through fear again and again until fear loses its power. The question is not whether you are capable. The question is whether you are willing to stop betraying yourself by settling for less than what you know is possible. Each day, you remain where you do not belong. You send a silent message to yourself that you are not worthy of more. But the truth is the opposite. You are worthy now. You are deserving now. You are ready now. The only thing standing in the way is the belief that you must keep waiting. Decide that this moment is the turning point. Decide that hesitation no longer owns you. Decide that fear no longer speaks louder than your vision. The future you dream of is not waiting for some distant day. It is waiting for you to stand in your power right now. This is the moment where everything shifts, not because the world changes, but because you finally do. And once you rise with conviction, there will be nothing left that can hold you back. The truth is that most people live their entire lives chained by illusions that were never theirs to begin with. They accept limits handed down by others, internalize voices that were never aligned with their potential, and spend years shrinking themselves to fit expectations that were never worthy of them. But you are not most people. You would not be here seeking this fire if there was not something in you already aching to break free. That restless feeling inside, that quiet whisper that says there is more, is not a weakness to silence. It is the call of your higher self demanding that you stop living small and start stepping into the fullness of who you are. Every time you ignore that call, every time you choose the comfort of stagnation over the discomfort of growth, you weaken the trust you have in yourself. But every time you listen, every time you move forward, even when fear still lingers, you rebuild that trust and strengthen the bond between who you are now and who you are becoming. Transformation is not about sudden dramatic moments. It is about the relentless choice to no longer betray your own potential. It is about refusing to settle for anything less than alignment with the truth you already know. Fear will always exist. Doubt will always whisper. Resistance will always attempt to hold you in place. But their presence does not mean you are unprepared. It means you are standing at the threshold of growth. The mind will always try to convince you that safety lies in retreat, but the heart knows that safety lies in expansion, because shrinking will never protect you from pain. It will only bury you in regret. What feels terrifying now will one day feel natural, because courage practiced consistently becomes confidence. You must understand that no one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to hand you permission to begin. The world will reflect back to you the belief you carry within yourself. And if you wait for validation, you will be waiting forever. The shift happens when you stop asking for acceptance and decide that your existence is already the validation. You are here, alive, breathing, with a mind that can imagine and a heart that can endure. That alone is proof that you are qualified for the life you envision. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not as wide as it feels. It is bridged by choices, by discipline, by refusing to indulge the lies that tell you that you are not ready. Every great transformation was once only a decision. Every powerful life was once only a series of ordinary moments where someone chose not to quit. You stand at the same crossroads. You carry the same power. The only difference between the life you dream of and the life you live now is the moment you decide to step forward without hesitation. Do not let another day pass under the illusion that you need more time, more approval, or more clarity before you rise. Everything you have been searching for begins the instant you stop running from yourself. This is not about waiting for a perfect future. This is about declaring that now is the time, you are the one, and nothing else will ever again be allowed to convince you otherwise. From this moment forward, you are no longer bound by hesitation. From this moment forward, you are unstoppable. You are capable of becoming unrecognizable to the version of yourself that once doubted, hesitated, and second-guessed. The same mind that once chained you to hesitation can become the mind that drives you to greatness. The same heart that once carried fear can be the heart that fuels unstoppable courage. Nothing about your current circumstances determines your future except the story you decide to believe about yourself. If you believe the story of limitation, you will live trapped. If you believe the story of power, you will rise with a force that no obstacle can hold down. Every thought you repeat is a seed planted in the soil of your future. Each time you choose strength over weakness, confidence over insecurity, persistence over surrender, you water the seeds of transformation. The mind may resist, the body may tire, but the spirit within you was built for endurance. It does not break, it sharpens under pressure. What once felt impossible slowly becomes inevitable when you choose not to bow to the old identity that no longer belongs to you. The truth is that breakthroughs do not come to those who wait. They come to those who refuse to keep reliving the same cycles, who decide that fear will no longer dictate their choices. The pain of staying the same will always outweigh the pain of change, but too many let comfort convince them that mediocrity is safer. You cannot afford to make that mistake. Settling is the slowest form of self-betrayal, and nothing will ever rob your soul more deeply than pretending to be less than what you know you are. Your transformation requires sacrifice. It demands the death of excuses, the burial of self-doubt, the destruction of every illusion that convinces you to delay. Growth requires that you let go of the person you were in order to step into the person you are becoming. And yes, it feels like loss at first, because you're shedding identities that once felt familiar. But do not confuse comfort with alignment. Comfort is what kept you caged. Alignment is what will set you free. Every day you have a choice to bow to the weight of yesterday or to rise into the power of today. The chains of the past cannot hold you unless you choose to carry them. The mistakes that haunt you cannot define you unless you continue to feed them with guilt. The doubts that circle your mind cannot break you unless you decide to give them authority. The moment you choose to no longer energize the lies is the moment they lose their power. There is no force more unstoppable than a human being who has decided that they will no longer abandon themselves. When you fully commit, when you burn the bridges back to the life you no longer want, you leave no option but progress. This is the fire that cannot be extinguished. This is the power that lives inside you. This is the truth that has been waiting for you to finally claim it, and the moment you decide, everything changes. Because when the mind is resolved, the body follows. When the spirit is awakened, no amount of resistance can withstand it. You are already powerful beyond measure. Now is the time to live like it.